The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Newy Scruggs.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Media Mash. We are coming to you from the Star in Frisco, the headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys as they get ready to face the Green Bay Packers. We got the podcaster himself. He is Jean-Jacques Taylor. Check out Jacques. We've got the Emmy Award winner, Kyle Yeomans, also the fill-in, future voice of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, don't do that. Don't do that.
I said future, man. You might be a grandfather when it happened, but, you know, in the future.
I've got three on the way, so, yeah, it's a pretty good shot.
Yeah,
coach in waiting.
Why not? He can be the Will Muschamp.
They don't always work out.
Doesn't always work out,
right? You don't want that title.
I am where my feet are planted.
Yes.
He is the longest tenured beat writer. He is Clarence Hill. Hook him, baby. Hope your coach stays. I'm Newy Scruggs.
You don't want to live in Tuscaloosa. You live in Austin. You lived in Austin. You know Tuscaloosa. L'Oreal don't want to live in Tuscaloosa.
And she's what matters most.
Hey, man.
And the money's the same.
Hey, man.
Money might be more in Austin.
It definitely. And the perks are more in Austin.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, we'll see. Sports is fluid.
It is.
Somebody once told me, okay?
It's a day-to-day business.
Sports is fluid. Dan Lanning is going to stay at Oregon. He came out today and said that here. All right, Clarence, you left the locker room. Interesting. I didn't get to hear Micah, so I want to know, did Micah have a certain feeling about not being named first team to the NFLPA's All-Pro team?
One day later, he was like, I don't care about that because the players don't count. Players, they didn't. He said that the players didn't give any thought to the award. They just put OGs in there, and they didn't give any thought to who should win the award. So it doesn't bother him.
Like Tyler Smith?
Yeah. I'm just telling you what
like
the man.
Aubrey?
I'm just telling you what the man said. No thought to the award. So he it is what it is, but he's ready for the game. He's ready to stop his buddy Aaron Jones. He ain't worried about that fake award that he win for the second straight year.
Okay, players don't count. Media vote counts, right?
Exactly. When you win, the media make you win. That's what counts.
You know, I did spy a couple weeks ago. They were doing the NFL's top 100 list, and the NFL sent some people around to gather the names. And the first three names on one person's ballot, one starter for the Cowboys, was Dak, Micah, and Tank Lawrence were the top three players in the NFL. So I'm just saying.
Top three players in the NFL?
That was the top three players in the NFL in this starter's opinion.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying when Micah says the players' vote don't count. In his mind, he think about that dude ballot.
Well,
listen, I keep telling people all the time, because there's this conversation among players that the media don't know. He takes the players.
Have you ever played the game?
Yeah, but the players don't do none of the same thing. They get the stat sheet, look at first of all, they do their bias for their own teammates. You go to the stat sheet and say, okay, who's leading the sacks? Okay, who's leading the yards? I mean, they do the same thing.
So, why? Because they don't watch the game.
They don't. No, not like that. No, and they talk about it. I mean, Tank. We talked last week. We talked to Tank after the game last week, and he said he didn't watch the Eagles loss to Arizona. He was asleep. His brother, woke him up and told him, y'all have a chance to win the division. They don't. He's not watching football like that.
Listen to the players outside of the NFL stars. Hey, what do you think about this team? 52 is good, and 47 is good against the run.
Well, a lot of times the only interaction they have with specific players are the numbers that they see on film. Like you're watching Green Bay this week, and you're like, man, that number 7 at the second level, he can play. It's like, Quay Walker, like whatever his name is. Yeah, he's number 7. He plays good defense. That's what they look at is the film that they're going to play this week and the film that they've got from the past week. Yeah. And that's ultimately what they go by.
Well, other two things at the locker room today, just, before we move on. Tyler Smith talked. He said his foot is much better. Mm-hmm. He said actually he started feeling something was wrong with his foot well before the Detroit game when he tore it. But he just still thought it was sore. He didn't know what it was. And he finally tore it, but he feels a lot better now. He hopes to play, plans to play. He's been limited in practice, but, he's feeling a lot better than he was last week. And I saw Stephon Gilmore, who actually practiced today with that harness, because he says he's playing. He told us he's playing. He said he's playing. Practice with the harness. I said, you touch anybody? I said, I'm going to wait till Sunday. I'm not going not going to do anything like that, because it's a painful injury. But he plans on playing, and Mike McCarthy talked about, he's doing the right thing, trying to get out there, move around in that thing. But,
But that's also why I said the most important thing. I mean, he got his legs, so he'll be able to cover. It's when they run that toss that way.
Right.
Can you come up and
stop
and
running
feel it a little bit?
And he's a good run stop. He's a good tackling cornerback. So yeah, you need that.
You anticipate both guys taking shots?
It's the playoffs, baby. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
I mean, I think that goes without saying that you're gonna do that. That's part of the game.
Okay.
They would have done that if it was week 14, probably.
Week 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it in college.
Yeah. It's just
before NIL.
By the way, last thing on that NFL PA list, first team, T.J. Watt didn't make it.
Right.
19 sacks.
Right.
T.J. Watt didn't make it. So, and look, nothing against
Max
Crosby or Arlington's own Myles Garrett.
Man, there's so many good edges now. When you talking about the top 3 or 4 guys, it's however you want to put them in the hat, really.
So just that, and it was Ryan Clark, or I think it was Ryan Clark who was like, "What are we watching?" And we knew what happened there. So, Mike is not alone. Mike is not alone. But congratulations to those Cowboys who did make it. Tyler Smith made it. Zach Martin made it. C.D. Lamb made it. Brandon Aubrey made it. So congratulations.
Tyler Smith making it to me is really impressive because his name is still not out there as, one of the top players in the league, even though we see him pancaking people regularly all the time.
He didn't even make a Pro Bowl. I mean, he wasn't even in the Pro Bowl voting. So
I've said he's been the team's best offensive lineman.
No, he's
according to PFF and everything else, he's been the team's best guard, which is a dirty little secret because Zach Martin is a Hall of Famer. But he's been better than Zach this year. And he's been the team's best, most consistent offensive lineman, save for the few holding calls he gets every now and then. That's, the problem he had in college. But he's down and down out. He's the team's best offensive lineman.
Another Cowboy that they drafted.
Right.
What Will McClay has done is pretty impressive, and we know his name.
That was a great pick.
His name is he got pancaked. I mean, that thing got pancaked by so many people.
I was one of them.
Tulsa, and he led college football in holding. It got lit up. But clearly, they knew what they were doing, and that's why people want Will McClay to get out there and talk. Talk to them about their job openings here, and we'll see. I mean, I anticipate one day Will McClay is going to get up and get out the door. I remember for years we thought Scott Pioli would always stay. Next thing you know, he ends up in Kansas City. I thought, really, Kansas City, and so he went out there. So we'll see. We'll see. Any reaction to Dan Quinn? And Seattle hasn't asked to talk to him yet, but the fact that Bill Belichick's, Pete Carroll's name is out there, he's gone, and Dan Quinn could replace him there. Now we know Bill Belichick is leaving New England. I've got to imagine that they'll put in to talk to Dan Quinn. I mean, just it makes sense. So just your thoughts.
Well, I mean, first of all, I asked Tank about it. He said, I want to talk about it. He shut down the whole conversation, But Michael, when we talked to him, he acknowledged this could be his last time with Dan Quinn. He talked about, how he appreciated what Dan has done for his career and how they, talk and just talk about more than just football and everything else. But you look at the list, the Commanders, Chargers, Titans, have all
Chargers.
Panthers, have all made contact. We all knew it as soon as Pete Carroll stepped down or got pushed out that Dan Quinn was the obvious choice there. And you brought up New England could be an opportunity there, but I think they got guys that are on their mind. But he's always waiting for the perfect opportunity to leave. He just wasn't going to leave for any job. And as a favorite son, the architect of the Legion of Boom, it seemed like it's the perfect marriage.
Now my conspiracy theory is Seattle saw all those teams looking at Quinn and was like, we don't want to lose him.
It's now or never.
Yeah, let's go on and tell Pete, hey man, if we're gonna make this move now. Nothing personal.
Well, you talk about the last 2 off seasons. He's been up at the top of the list, if not the top of the list, in terms of head coaching candidates. And he wasn't going to leave for any one-off position, but you could say there's possibly 3 organizations right now that are open that would be willing to talk to Dan Quinn, and that Dan Quinn would be willing to talk to them, and that's the Patriots, just because of the history of the organization, what Bill Belichick was able to achieve up there, and some of the resources that they have in Foxborough. Then you've got the Chargers just because of the fact that you have a quarterback that you can build around. Justin Herbert is the future of that franchise. You can build around him. But, I mean, nothing fits better than going back to Seattle, where he had success as a coordinator, had success with Pete Carroll, who's going to be in an advisory role, and they have pieces on a very talented defense. They had more Pro Bowlers on defense than Dallas did. I mean, they've got young pieces, especially in the secondary, that they can build around. You talk about Diggs and Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, who was a first-round pick this past year. They've invested a lot defensively, and a lot of it fits the mold that Dan Quinn would want to run that defense by.
Now, Belichick in New England, it seems to me like Mike Vrabel is a spot for there. Understands the culture, understands craft, played there for a long time. If you want to keep that same type of New England atmosphere going, if you're Kraft, he seems like a good fit. I hear a lot of great things about Gerard Mayo, and he's on the staff. My only concern with him is, this is me personally, I can't stand turning over young quarterback because they don't take one in the first round.
Yeah,
with a first-time defensive-minded head coach. That's just me, because the offense and the quarterback is such a big deal. If I got a young quarterback who's taken at the top of the draft, I'd rather give him to an offensive guy where I know he's getting literally everything he needs to thrive.
Glad Houston didn't listen to you.
Exactly.
I said that's what I like to do.
Right, but obviously make sure you hire the right guy, and Brian Flores is also a candidate there too. Former Patriots coach.
I keep him away from my quarterback.
So now this is my feeling, and I've said this kind of before. I don't have an issue with hiring a defensive guy. The question becomes, as you're talking to any coach, who's your staff? Mm-hmm. Who are you bringing with you?
Because if you bring an incredible offensive coordinator and you're a defensive head coach, that could even bode better for you moving forward.
So D'Amico brought Slowick, who was down there in San Francisco. They knew each other, and you guys have been beat writers, so when these guys get these jobs,
they already know who coming.
Right? They always tell, hey man, if I go, you good, you good. So that, to me, that's the whole thing is who do you get to run it, because Carolina decided to try what you said, and look what that did. It blew up. Yeah. And then you had the owner who was, we need an all-star staff. So we're going to get this guy.
Carolina is its own thing.
Yeah, I mean,
they own
again, my thing is, I'm with most guys. Hire the best leader. I mean, I'm not into the hot coordinator. Hire the best leader, hire the best football coach, and make sure he hires a good staff, and let the chips fall where they may. Because you can get pigeonholed into this guy's offensive guy, whatever, and he's with my quarterback, and it don't work out. It don't always work out.
What we saw here when you were young, you were around back in the day, but when Parcells came here, he brought in Sean Payton and Maurice Carthon, and Carthon played for him, and he had not worked with Sean Payton at all, and at that time, most people's thought remembrances of Sean was they basically demoted him as a Giants offensive coordinator, and Fossil took over the play call, and they went to the Super Bowl, and so he rebuilt it, and now Sean is turned into a guy with a Hall of Fame type coaching resume. So, but Parcells, as you talked about, leader of men, went out and found a guy who he thought he could work with, and they did an excellent job running that football team. So to me, that's the whole thing. Is if you want to get a defensive guy, if you bring in Dan Quinn. When was Dan Quinn's best success? When he got Kyle Shanahan to leave Johnny Manziel, the Cleveland Browns, and come down to Atlanta. Go find people. Find a staff, and not just a quarterback, a play caller, but find a staff of guys. I don't know what Dan Campbell's association was with Ben Johnson, but
he didn't, because he wasn't his first offensive coordinator.
That's right.
That wasn't his first.
Right. It was A. Lynn. No,
it was Anthony Lynn. Yeah. So he made a mistake. He corrected the mistake and kept it going. But I'm glad you brought up your guy in Detroit, because he's a leader of men, and he knows how to motivate a football team, and he lets those guys. I mean, he's not an offensive guy; he's a defensive guy. He's a football coach, and he let his guys coach, and certainly he bites off kneecaps. He motivates. He gets, he makes the thing right. He sets the pulse of the team. Yeah, that's what you need. That's most important. If that guy can be your play caller, like Mike McCarthy is doing here, great. But it don't have to be. It don't have to be the same guy.
Because John Harbaugh ain't doing that.
No. And Jim Harbaugh ain't doing that. And I think he's an excellent coach.
We've seen we saw three coaches basically. Yesterday, all three were defensive guys, and all three are Hall of Famers and what they've done, and all three won big, and they had offensive players who did some stuff here. So. Who won awards at the highest level, but they were all defensive guys. And for this franchise, the two most successful coaches they've ever had were defensive guys, Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson. So
the funny thing about it, because I just read something the other day. Tom Landry's a defensive guy.
And an offensive guy.
But he was also the offensive coordinator. I mean, there's no other. He's the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Probably could have been a special teams coach. But
maybe he was a special teams coach.
But he was offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in Dallas.
Everything.
I mean, that's crazy. And he invented his own defense.
Yeah, we're gonna run the flex.
Nobody else could. That's crazy. He called the plays. He did all of that. That's how the greatness of Tom Landry.
The Landry shift. You got the whole thing.
I mean, it's all of that. That's he is.
And then you have him and Lombardi on the same staff.
In New York, it's crazy.
Do you remember who the head coach was that won the championship? Did those two?
What's his face?
It's like three names: Jim Bob, or Jim Lee Hook, something like that. I mean,
that ain't what I had in my head.
Yeah.
that was before 19 sales in the 50s. We don't know.
Yeah,
since it is Cowboys and Packers, though, going back to Super Bowls 1 and 2 that were both won by Green Bay.
Yeah, they sent Andy Don into retirement.
Yeah, if Tom Landry, the Cowboys beat them in the NFC Championship games those years, is the Super Bowl trophy now the Landry Trophy instead of the Vince Lombardi Trophy?
That was the NFL championship, sir.
That was the first and second Super Bowls. Oh, you're right, because it was not technically the merger yet.
Yeah, it was the NFL championship. It was the NFL championship.
So not even in NFC.
Right. Yeah. That came after.
But it would be the Landry Trophy now, right?
It could well be. But his yes, you are correct, sir. Your former Texas Longhorn defensive back All-American did everything. Remember the time Drew Pearson told me
from Mission, Texas.
He told me that Coach Landry had them come up with the game plan because Drew was assistant coach for a minute, and they're like, yeah, guys, nah. And he said, we're going to do this. And so he just basically gave him the game plan. And then Drew said, he walked out and we all looked at each other like, damn, why did we think of that? Because he's just, but he's an engineer by trade. I mean, he's got a phenomenal.
Football genius, man.
He's a beautiful mind. Tom Landry was a beautiful mind here. So good stuff. Let's get our first break in here.
In a good way.
Let's get our first break in here with Clarence Hill, Kyle Yeomans, Jack Taylor. Not doing this with you today. Louis Scruggs, the Media Mash on DallasCowboys.com.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. There's no appointment needed and no waiting room. Yep, you heard that correctly. Take 5 is so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's fast, friendly, and simple service at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
They say champions are remembered, but legends
are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to Media Mash.
Media Mash, right here on DallasCowboys.com radio. All right, podcast out now. Who's on the podcast? Jock Talk. Who you got?
Got Clancy Hill tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Kyle Yeomans. Broadcast, you going to be outside on us?
Yeah, no,
Sunday?
we are not outside. We are inside. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Thought about it. Yeah, there was a talk of like, hey, we could just do it outside, be with the fans, and then we looked at the temperature, and it's going to be like 37.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, we're going to go outside.
So good for you, because I was about to say, brother.
We'll be good to go.
Yeah, I would not go
We'll
outside.
We'll be field side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Clarence Hill, Ella B's tonight over in Arlington, right down the road from. You can throw a rock and hit AT&T Stadium. We've got a strong arm.
We got Cowboys and Chill tonight at Ella B's in Arlington from 6:30 to 11. Kevin Smith will be there around 7 o'clock. I got 8 former teammates and some more former Aggies who have confirmed to come and support Kevin Smith. You want to see some former Cowboys? Talk to Kevin Smith about getting inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Right. The 3-time Super Bowl champion, Kevin Smith.
All right. Aggie, you got some yell leaders out there to help?
There you go.
They're on the way.
There you go.
They're driving up from College Station.
I'll be out there.
Rick Perry and some people, Aggie yell leaders?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I just glad to see a Longhorn bringing in some Aggies, man. I'm happy about that.
There you go.
Cowboys Packers are actually showing the game from 2 years ago right now on NFL Network. This is going to be Mike McCarthy's first playoff game against his old team. When he played that game when they played the game 2 years ago, it was his first trip back up to Lambeau Field. Cowboys a 14-point lead, lost in overtime. I thought that was the start of the end of Kellen Moore era. Kyle, what are you expecting to see from this Mike McCarthy team on Sunday at home?
An emphasis in running the football against Green Bay initially. Maybe not through the entire game. We'll see what ends up happening. But Green Bay ranks 9th in the NFL in terms of passing yards allowed per game. They've done a pretty good job of slowing things down. Are they great on the secondary? Not necessarily. What they really struggle at is stopping the run. They're 28th in the NFL in terms of rushing yards allowed. They've had 4 games this year where they've given up at least 200 yards on the ground. I think Tony Pollard has an opportunity here, and it's a lot of it is gap assignment. A lot of it is winning your battles up front. If that offensive line from the Cowboys is healthy, like they seemingly are with Tyler Smith and Zach Martin being back, I think they're going to try and run it effectively, control the clock, get up early, put together a lead, and get into halftime with a multi-score lead, and then you can kind of let your defense do the rest from there.
I see, that's interesting because that ain't what they do best.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it works, but I'm like,
sure.
Why you want to do what you don't do best, no matter what they do?
And that's kind of why I say it's only early. I don't think they go through all 4 quarters running the football and forcing Tony Pollard and making him do everything. I think what it ends up being is you're going to try and establish the ground game early and then work off of that. It establishes your play action, allows you to attack a secondary. Jair Alexander, a little banged up today, said he tweaked an ankle in a walkthrough, which was really interesting.
Crazy,
man.
Just like a freak accident.
We see that with Tyron Smith every other.
That's fair. Yeah, freak is not a freak thing
practicing
out there. Yeah.
Alexander gonna be a captain or something?
Yeah, he'll make himself a captain. He'll be
like
out there.
that dude.
He'll be ready to go.
Did you see him crash that interview this week?
Yeah, popped up behind a reporter.
He's loving life, man.
I love how the reporter, we talked about it on our show today, but as a reporter, you don't know who's behind you whenever you're doing a live shot. A lot of times you don't have a monitor there. So you don't get a good look at who it is, but the reporter turned around and looked at him and was like, and we've got a Packers fan that's ready to roll. Like, great. And it's like Jair Alexander, like the best corner they've had in a while. So, yeah, I think it's an early emphasis to get the ground game established. I don't think it's going to be their game plan, but that's something that I foresee Dallas doing in the early going.
I got you.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Jair Alexander being injured, who gonna cover CD again?
Nobody. It don't matter whether he was there or not.
Jair only covered him for 12 snaps in that game last year.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't a whole lot anyway.
So they do what they call a vision defense. They do a lot of zone. That's giving the Cowboys trouble this year. One insight. We've been talking a lot about Dak and play call purpose and understanding the offense, and I think that Dak is more confident. And you watch him, you can see it on the field, more confident in his play, in the plays, in his teammates than ever was. And, we talked to him off the record yesterday, and he said, I love Kellen Moore. I love Kellen Moore. But the things we're doing under Mike McCarthy, understanding the offense, not just me, but they're actually, the receivers are seeing tape of what Dak sees, okay? And something they didn't know before. They talking about everybody understands what the concept was, and and that's made a huge difference. That's why the interceptions are down. And you saw going back to the Green Bay game, a lot of these changes and started to take hold or started to be needed. Started that Green Bay game last year. We've talked often about those interceptions. The one the CD over the middle, where the CD cut underneath and it should have went over top or whatever. He
against
said
the Bears.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one against the Packers.
Oh, the Packers in Week 10.
Yeah, the one in the Packers. He had two. He had the one in the back of the end zone.
Yep. When
he and Schultz were in the same spot and the one over the middle. That wouldn't happen this year. And that hasn't happened this year because CD understands where to go. He didn't understand where to go, and a lot of those interceptions we kicked Dak's ass over. I don't know. I'm sorry. Kicked his butt over. Even going back to he brought up and it's interesting that Dak remembers every interception he's thrown, and the coverage. And he was breaking down the coverage, all his interceptions. He says, last year and even in the 49ers game, he was taught, to do one thing, okay? This year he's taught to do something else. So those same interceptions wasn't happen because of how he's taught to read the coverage different than he was before. And he credits Mike McCarthy, but that also has a lot to do with why he plays. You watch him. He's so comfortable in his own skin, so comfortable throwing the ball and being and not being greedy, but being aggressive, because he's confident.
So just talking about that, I'm just kind of interested in more about this. Is it because you got McCarthy, then you got Schottenheimer in there, right. and then you got Tolzien. Where's all of this from all three? Is it mainly Mike? I mean, how do they work all that?
Well, this is Mike's stuff. I mean, it's funny because we talked. I mean, when they made the change last year, everybody like, how dare Mike's a relic and Kellen Moore this guru, and how can they be better than Mike? Mike been offensive guru. He was offensive coordinator of the year way back, and when he started with the Saints. He's coach quarterback. He knows the game. It's about his experience. That's what Dak talked about. This is Mike's system. And those other guys, Tolzien and Schottenheimer, are extensions of him, but they're coaching what he's taught. What he teaches, his philosophies, and he talks about everybody runs the same plays, but how you teaching it? How are you teaching it? There's not any secrets in this league, and these are the same plays. A lot of these plays are the same as they ran, under Kellen Moore. They call it Texas Coast offense because they have some wrinkles, but they're just teaching it differently.
But sometimes it's because I was really intrigued about this at the start of the season. When you talk about, well, what do you mean everybody knows what they're supposed to do? Like, if you really understand that your purpose on this route is to run the clear out so that he can come up underneath you. If you really understand that that's your job, you run the route differently than if you go, ball ain't coming to me, and you just kind of half lollygag it. Because now you understand, I might get the ball, probably not, but if I really do this route, it's going to help the dude underneath get the ball. We keep the offense moving. Then it'll be my time. And everybody's doing it like that. And you have a greater understanding of what your purpose is. Just like in life.
Yeah, and just piggybacking on it, they all have time clocks, and yes, it's a clear out, but you understand your progressions, okay? I'm supposed to be open at this time because it's like, we always they talk about things tied to the feet. So I'm supposed to be open at this time. So this is the first progression. When Dak goes back, if that's not open, then it's now boom, okay? So if you're on your same time clock with your progressions, then it goes to you. But that's all more understood in this offense, in this scheme, and how they're teaching it than it was before. And that's not a knock on Kellen Moore and what he did. But Mike McCarthy just understands the total game. He's just not an offensive guy.
Well, and it's different teaching, like you were talking about. Everything has some sort of relation to it. Anywhere you go in the NFL, the passing game is predicated on timing.
Yeah.
It's connections, it's timing, it's throwing guys open in the NFL because, I mean, unless you're just one of the best, and CD's up there in that category, but you're not getting a ton of separation.
Right.
It's all about timing, and it's all about that connection between quarterback and wide receiver. It's the way you teach that timing. It's the way that you allow for that timing to evolve with different roles throughout an offense. And I think there's a better understanding across the board from Mike McCarthy this year than there ever was with Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. And maybe that's just because it clicks with Dak and who he is as a quarterback, who he is as a leader on that offense. Maybe it clicks better with the offensive line and the situation that they have up front, but it's just a better understanding across the board.
Let's be honest, it's been taught better. It's been taught better. It's a better way of teaching it.
So let me throw this out here. So we're talking about Dak Prescott and how well he's played. I think we all agree around the table he's going to finish top 3, if not top 5 in the MVP voting. The receiving core is better than what they had last year going into the playoffs at this time. What is your expectation for Dak in this in this postseason?
To play well, to play like he's been playing, to whether they win or whether they, let me put it like this, to whether they, if they lose, for you not to go, well, Dak, he sucked today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody said that after the, what was it? I think the last couple losses, it was, well, he put him in position to win. I mean, he didn't play well against Buffalo.
Or San Fran. Yeah, those are kind of the only two.
San Fran, but, I think the expectation is he will play well and he will not be the reason if they lose that people are sitting around in the offseason going, I can't believe that was Dak.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Dak and he said, this is who we are. This is not, I'm not in the zone. I'm not just having a hot hand. This is he and CD. This is who they are right now, and he has confidence. And I believe that's who they are. I was talking with J-Ron Kurtz on Monday, and he was talking about why will this year be different? Why do they have more confidence that they're going to break through this year? And he talked about the defense, but he also said Dak and CD. Mm-hmm. The way Dak and CD are playing, that gives the whole team confidence, and that starts with Dak. The way he's playing, that gives the whole team confidence that they're ready to break through.
It's a different element that they haven't had in the past because they've had some guys on offense. Think about back to 2016.
They've had them,
but they've had just different elements because in 2016 you had the emergence of Dak and Zeke, right? Like that provided confidence for your offense, for your team as a whole, and it propelled them into the postseason. They just weren't good enough as a whole to get that final play and make it happen. In 2021, you had the rookie Micah Parsons. All of a sudden, Micah Parsons, Dan Quinn, they're revamping what was the worst defense in the NFL in 2020. That was where your confidence was. Just weren't good enough to get it over the top. And then you add other pieces along the way. This year, it's the emergence of Deron Bland. You have the automatic kicker in Brandon Aubrey. You have the connection between Dak and CD. It's a number of elements that you hope is good enough to get it over the top. So they've had instances where you've had confidence like that, but you just feel like this is different.
I like their offense because I feel like they know. I mean, it's been a complaint of mine forever with the Cowboys in general, which is there's too much of we take what the defense gives us and not enough of we take what we want.
Take it.
Yeah, I'm saying because all the time we're like, we've had this conversation over the years. How can the Rams get the ball to Cooper Kupp every time they want to? Mm-hmm. How can this team get the ball to this dude whenever they want? They all double covered. Why are these teams able
Justin
to get
Jefferson 7 games, he's got 1,000 yards. Yeah.
So now we say that about the Cowboys. You can do what you want to. CD getting the ball. Mm-hmm. Why? They move around. They figured out how to video game him. And then just when you think everything's going to CD, then they bust you with Brandon Cooks or they bust you with Jake Ferguson. And that's how an offense should look. And that's, to me, that's why they have a really good opportunity to make a run because they know who they are. They have an identity. They understand what they're supposed to do on offense, where it comes from, and you can build off of that.
I want to read this tweet, X or whatever we want to call it now.
We still call it tweets, man. It's a tweet.
From Pro Football Talk.
Oh, boy.
For Bill Belichick.
Oh, my God.
Why you were in a good conversation with Bill?
Don't get too caught up in linking him to the non-playoff teams. There are 14 teams left. 13 of them will eventually lose. One of them, like as we've been saying for weeks, the Cowboys might decide Belichick is what they need to get over the hump.
Anything might happen, though.
Mike McCarthy can end any speculation.
Yeah.
With 2 wins, in my opinion. Would you say that's fair?
All right, no, there's no question about that. 2 wins definitely ends all speculation.
But without the 2 wins, how seriously do you take into what we hear from Pro Football Talk? You and your man Gary Myers had some fun exchanges on Twitter, and he mentioned Belichick to the Cowboys.
First of all, my point to him was that if there was a dream scenario for the Cowboys, so this is before Pete Carroll quit, it would be Dan Quinn. He was the leader in the clubhouse. That's the only thing I was trying to make sure. It's not. I think Jerry's made no certain. That Dan Quinn has been the apple of his eye, and certainly he did a lot to keep him here the last couple of years. And then we talked about that in training camp.
Sure.
How much you pay him to keep him. And Jerry talked about that, and there's no question that Dan Quinn is going to leave one day, and it's most likely going to be this year. With all the jobs that are there, so. This whole Belichick thing is.
What if he was a defense coordinator?
I mean, I bring that.
We know he's going to run. He does a great job with defense. The question is, what's he going to do with the offense, and who you going to bring? I mean, his choices at offense. I mean, I'm like, for McCarthy, you crazy? It's like Belichick ain't won without Brady, man. I'm just like, it ain't the same.
I mean,
Brady's. I think. When we say that, we act like Belichick didn't have nothing to do with holding the Rams to 17 points. I think they were the greatest. It was a symbiotic relationship. They were good for each other. But his problem is personnel. He's an awful GM. He the one bringing in all the talent and signing off on people and let's get rid of everybody.
He's also an awful chooser of offensive coaches.
That too, and the fact that you would put Matt Patricia and that other knucklehead who was a special teams coach, Joe Judge, in charge of a rookie quarterback is insanity. That's a fireable offense.
But he's got a guy he can bring. He's got a guy.
Who, McDaniels?
Yeah, Josh McDaniels.
Who ain't done nothing outside of New England.
I mean, is Josh McDaniels the reason Tom Brady was a good coach? Quarterback?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
When
he's gone elsewhere, he ain't done nothing. I'm just saying.
He done less than nothing.
You mentioned an offensive coordinator, so I'm just telling you, he's got a guy. Kyle Thompson.
Anyway, we should not give that any credence.
Yeah, I just don't give it a time of day, honestly. I don't think Bill Belichick wants a situation like this. He wants control. He wants to be the GM. He wants to build his own team. Whether he's good at it or not, that's what he wants. That's why this is not a spot for him.
And we know what Florio and them doing. They
threw the Cowboys name in the tweet.
It's content creation, and certainly he's not the only one. Gary Myers, and
Adam Schefter wants to say something might could happen.
Yeah, of course, anything could happen, but that's not the plan. And
I could take over as head coach. You never know.
No, that's not going to happen. The
question is, stop it. I'm 27. I can do what I want.
We already know what your future is. We already got your spot. We got you a spot. But I mean, first, yeah, exactly. And we ain't talking about Bill. And we ain't talking about Mike.
I stood up.
I did too. I did too. No, I did. Nope.
He's got all the time he wants. Trust me. I've got three kids to take care of.
You could.
Him do my Cat Williams.
Stop.
That's a good place. That's a good place to end the show. Thank you, Sean Kyle Yeomans, Clarence Hill, I'm Louis Scruggs. Goodbye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!